6:28. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Allen.
Here.
Mayor Murphy.
Here.
Mr. Miller.
Here.
Mr. Daugherty.
Here.
Mr. Burchett. Mrs. Witt.
Here,
Ms. Marcus.
Here.
and I'll make a motion to excuse Mr. Burchett from this meeting.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Witt.
Yes,
Mr. Daugherty.
Yes.
Mr. Miller.
Yes.
Mayor Murphy.
Yes.
Mrs. Allen.
Yes.
Ms. Marcus.
Yes. We have the approval of the minutes for the meeting on February 22nd. If nobody has any changes or corrections, they will be approved as they are. Hearing none, they are approved. Finance Director, do you have a report?
No report, thank you.
City Manager,
I have no items, Ms. Marcus, thank you.
Mayor,
I have nothing to report, thank you.
Law Director,
I just have one last request this evening. That's to request an executive session at the end of this meeting with no business to follow for matters pertaining to the lease and/or sale of city-owned property.
I'll make a motion that we have an executive session after this meeting with no business to follow.
roll call, please.
Mayor Murphy.
Yes.
Mr. Miller.
Yes.
Mrs. Allen.
Yes.
Mrs. Witt.
yes.
Mr. Daugherty.
Yes.
Ms. Marcus.
Yes. Okay, did you have anything else? Clerk of Council,
I have nothing, thank you.
we'll move into business, the CHRC, Community Reinvestment Housing Council, and the TIRC, Tax Incentive Review Council review.
Yes, thank you. This is an annual housekeeping item where it's a state requirement where we have to do a thorough review of any enterprise zones or active community reinvestment areas. And thankfully, with some of the legislation earlier tonight, we'll have enough for a quorum to hold the CRHC. The Turk is actually managed at the Montgomery County Auditor's level, and that meeting was scheduled this morning at 10 a.m. I went there and did our presentation. Everything turned out fine, and they are recommending support of continuing the 7 active abatements that are in the post-1994 area, which would be everything that is on the east side of the river. Everything that is on the west side of the river is pre-94, meaning it's more by right. You don't have to commit to jobs or payroll or some other items of that nature. What I'm asking for is for legislation to be prepared to accept the recommendations of the CRHC and the Turk at the next regularly scheduled meeting. We hope to get the CRHC meeting scheduled sometime next week. So, that's all I've got unless there are any questions.
I'll make a motion that we have the CHRC and the TIRC for legislation prepared for our next council meeting.
Any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Mayor Murphy.
Yes.
Mr. Daugherty.
Yes.
Mr. Miller.
Yes.
Mrs. Allen.
Yes.
Mrs. Witt.
Yes,
Ms. Marcus.
Yes. The next one is the 2024 Bike Path Paving Program.
Yes, thank you. This would be to repave the Main Street bike path that Councilmember Dave Miller referenced earlier, as well as the Orr Everts Park bike path. We received 5 bids. The lowest and best bid came in by Fillmore Construction at a cost of $258,725. This is a budgeted item. It came in below the engineer's estimate, and the budgeted estimate was also $260,000, so it's a little bit below what council had budgeted for 2024 as well. So I would like to request that legislation be drawn to support the bid and award the contract to Fillmore Construction.
I'll make a motion that we have legislation drawn up for the bike path and to award the contract to Fillmore Construction.
Any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Witt.
Yes,
Mr. Daugherty.
Yes.
Mr. Miller.
Yes.
Mayor Murphy.
Yes.
Mrs. Allen.
Yes.
Ms. Marcus.
Yes. The next item is the 2024 Concrete Program.
Yes, I'll handle that one as well. This project includes isolated curb replacement, sidewalk replacement, and ADA curb ramp installation on East River Road and Arbor Boulevard. And a section of concrete pavement will also be installed at Springboro Pike and Arbor Boulevard. This is an annual project. We always budget money for asphalt paving and concrete program work. We received 6 bids, and the lowest and best bid was America's Decorative Concrete. It came in at $624,235.80. This is about $24,000 or $23,000 below the engineer's estimate, and it is also significantly, I think, in the about the same, about $25,000 below the budgeted amount that was approved, which was $650,000. I'd like to request that legislation be prepared to award the bid and enter into a contract with America's Decorative Concrete.
Make a motion that we accept the American Decorative Concrete for the 2024 concrete program. To have legislation prepared for the next meeting.
Any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Mayor Murphy?
Yes.
Mrs. Allen?
Yes.
Mrs. Witt?
Yes.
Mr. Daugherty?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Ms. Marcus?
Yes. The next item is a traffic camera IT police discussion.
So I hope you guys remember that we had planned in 2024 to replace our traffic cameras because of the FCC ruling on the chip that's inside those cameras. So within the IT department, we budgeted $35,000 and started to work on pre-planning on replacing those cameras. But during that phase, we were approached by the police department about a really kind of exciting opportunity to maybe integrate what we were looking to do with maybe something that would benefit them more. So Craig could probably fill you in on the rest. But I did want you to know that we did plan on doing this project, and it is budgeted.
So the city's had traffic cameras up since the late 90s, and it's the kind of camera that watches intersections. We use them to watch traffic. We use them to help solve accidents after the fact, and the dispatchers can watch for backups or delays or issues with signals, that kind of thing. The engineer's office originally put those up in the 90s, and ever since then, they really haven't used them. It's been completely a police kind of function. IT's been gracious enough the last 20 years to keep them up and running, replacing them when needed, and they're going to replace 5 of the pan-tilt zoom cameras this year, or planned to. The company that does our license plate reading cameras, Flock approached us with a new product, and they sell a pan-tilt zoom camera that has all of the features that they were going to put up, in addition to all of the AI logic, computer logic, crime-fighting capabilities that the license plate reading cameras have. So it would be a win-win. So in the last year, since May of last year, our license plate reading cameras have helped catch 3 murder suspects, 4 attempted murder suspects, and dozens of other violent criminals. I think it's a good camera system. I think it gets the maintenance of that camera system off of IT's plate. So right now, they have to pay somebody to maintain those. Once they get put up, they have to pay somebody to clean the lenses and the domes every couple of years. If something breaks, they have to pay somebody to fix it, or we have to rent or borrow a boom truck to get up to them. There's all kinds of issues. Server space here is another issue. Flock, to get the Flock cameras up would relieve all of that. It would be completely a Flock system, kind of like the license plate readers would now. Aaron and Todd had planned to put up 5 pan-tilt zoom cameras. We could use the same budget money to put up 9 Flock cameras to cover more of the city. The only caveat is that the budget money that was originally set aside to purchase those 5 pan-tilt zoom cameras, this would be a reoccurring cost with Flock. Remember, Flock, we don't have to do anything. We don't have to put them up. We don't have to maintain them. We don't have to fix them when they break. But it is a reoccurring annual fee. So we could be under budget money this year, but it would require at least a 2-year commitment to go with the Flock system. It would be our recommendation to use the Flock pan tilt zoom cameras, and I believe Aaron and Todd were on the same page.
Yeah, we're same agreement, yeah. After seeing the demo, it's pretty powerful.
So how much would it be for a 2-year contract on them?
So this year would be 32,625, and then next year would be 27,000. So a total of 59,625. If we're not absolutely in love with them, then we don't have to do anything after the 2 years. If we like what's happening, if it works the way we think it'll work, we can continue.
One other really, really, really cool feature that Chief didn't mention is that because this Flock system is being used by multiple agencies around us, anytime that there is a hit in another agency, that can be alerted with our cameras as well.
So is this 32,625 and 27,000, that's above the 35,000?
No,
That's part of it.
We're covered this year, committing to this, which, you know,
Next year is
the recommendation
27,000.
is we should, and we definitely should. It's very, as Aaron indicated, very powerful. Can do a lot for us and in protecting the city. But there will be an ongoing renewal cost, because I would assume it's going to work out well, like the other cameras have, and we'll want to continue it down the line. So it'll become a future budgeted item.
So the 27,000 would be for 2 years?
the 27,000 would be the second year. So we would use the budget money that Aaron and Todd have set aside this year, the 35,000. We'd actually be under that for this year.
Right.
And then next year would just roll into the 2025 budget as an item that we needed to pay for 27,000
So it'll be 27,000 every year?
until they raise the price.
That's the year after.
It's all cloud-based, yeah. So we are, I won't say constantly, we are always trying to up our server space, replace servers as needed, and this gets rid of a big chunk. Doesn't relieve all of the maintenance because there's still 70 cameras up in the city, but it does help significantly.
But they take care of all the we would not have any output at all except the 27,000?
Correct.
Okay.
The maintenance of the other 70 cameras, but also, Aaron, there was some specific maintenance that would go away? Was it an every 2-year thing, or?
So yeah, about every other year, we have to contract out a company to come clean the domes. The city is very, I don't know, hazy, smoggy.
Right.
So over time, those cameras sit outside, they get the UV rays hitting them, they get all the smog and everything built up. It's really hard to see down the line. So with the license plate reader system now, anytime that camera doesn't look to their liking, Flock actually goes out and takes care of it. They don't, the city is not triggering that. That's Flock doing it on their end. They let us know that camera will be down for, 25 minutes so they can clean it, and then it's back online.
They generally know before we do that there's a camera issue, and they're proactive in coming out and fixing it. So.
So our current system is all connected together with fiber.
We need legislation for the
Yep.
32,000 or for the whole thing?
32,625 this year, but the total for 2-year cost
Exceeds.
would be 59,625. So if you wanted to pass legislation for a 2-year agreement with Flock for 59,625, I think is probably the best solution.
That's where it exceeds the CM threshold.
We don't need any budget items because it is, what they'll charge us this year is within the budget. It is a capital item.
From a budget, like technical standpoint, I would say that we would need to move that from the capital improvement fund into the general fund as an operating. Because it's a contractual service then, and that's an operating expense and not a capital expense. So if we proceed with this route, I would also ask for legislation for next time to make that adjustment in the
Switch from
budget.
capital to general fund. So then, Martina, do we need 2 separate pieces of legislation?
Now, are they sole source?
Yep,
They
yep.
are sole
They're
source,
sole
yes.
source?
Yeah. And this deal, this price point, they've cut us a deal for installation. They've cut installation in half. So it's good, that this price is good until the end of the month, which is okay. We'll have it before the next council, or immediately after the next council meeting by a day. But it is a cost savings.
And we need one piece of legislation to move the money from capital to the general fund, and then we need another one to approve the contract. We have a motion.
How much are we doing it for? The 32,625, and then
59,
59.
625.
I think we could do the 27 on a budget next year. Put it in our budget instead of,
The contract will be a 2-year contract.
So we need to do it.
So we'd probably want legislation for the 2-year contract, even if we have the budget money this year, moving it from capital to operating.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we have legislation drawn up for the traffic camera for a 2-year contract, $59,625.
Any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Witt?
Yes.
Mr. Doherty?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mayor Murphy?
yes,
Mrs. Allen?
Yes.
Ms. Marcus?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then,
We have to have a motion to move it from capital to general fund.
Make a motion to move the traffic camera, the IT police discussion from, what do you say, from?
Capital.
Capital to, general fund, all right.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Mr. Doherty?
Yes.
Mrs. Witt?
yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mrs. Allen?
Yes.
Mayor Murphy?
yes.
Ms. Marcus?
Yes. Okay, the next one is also traffic control at signage at Dryden Road and Arbor Boulevard. It's a discussion.
Aye. So for the last 50 years, Holiday Inn's been sitting at the corner of Dryden and Arbor, and it's never been an issue with the way the signs and the building and the landscaping were constructed. However, since the storage unit facility has gone in, we've received a couple of complaints about the limited sight distance. If you are turning right off of Arbor onto southbound Dryden, you can't see to the left because of the way the storage unit facility has constructed their fence. Their fence is legal. It's within the permit. I don't think we have a legal standing to try to make them do anything with it. And I think the best idea that we kicked around was to have a no turn on red sign so people aren't trying to inch out into the intersection and get hit.
Have we seen any issues other than the complaints that we've gotten? Any accidents or anything?
No crashes yet, but the fence is kind of new, so I would anticipate, it hasn't been up that long, and we've received two complaints already that of near misses, so I would assume it's coming.
But that's something that'd be done in-house.
Yeah, you're right. It just needs legislation to approve a traffic control device. There are no turn-on red traffic control device. And then I believe Chris's crews can actually hang the sign.
I'll make a motion that the necessary legislation be prepared.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Allen?
Yes.
Mayor Murphy?
Yes,
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Doherty?
Yes.
Mrs. Witt?
Yes.
Ms. Marcus?
Yes.
Thank you.
The next item is a transit van purchase for Parks and Recreation Division.
Yeah, thank you. When I went to the OPRA conference, I met with a guy from Sourcewell. I had a meeting with him, which Sourcewell is the competitive bid platform. Through the discussion I had with him, I found a transit van with the National Auto Fleet Group for the amount of $64,114.39. This vehicle is to replace the Chevy Impala that we currently have now. I'm asking for legislation to be prepared for the next council meeting with a quote from National Auto Group, and this is a 2024 budgeted item. So,
And Brent, it came under budget, correct?
Yes,
You know the
yeah,
budgeted
we
amount
budgeted
versus-
70, so we're 5,800, something like that, under budget. So.
Why do we need a 15-passenger van?
So I knew that question was going to come up. So I added the seats to it. It's going to be, we can take those seats out if we need to move stuff, or, so this summer, we're trying to bring summer camps back. So we may have to move people from, or kids from the rec center down to the civic center, depending on what kind of programming we have going on. It's something that we, when I first started, would have been very beneficial when we were doing summer camps. I think it's, yes, I know it's big, but it is something that would definitely benefit us, being able to move kids around parks to park or whatever we decide to do. So that's why.
This big? Do you have someone that knows how to drive something that big?
Yeah, oh yeah.
It's going to be really long.
No, I mean, I've
Really
seen them,
long.
I've seen them and everything. I mean, you've seen transit vans. I mean, it may seem big, but it'll be just like a normal ride, so.
I've driven a mini RV that was probably bigger than that one. They're kind of blocky, and you have to have the correct mirrors on them, or you can't see what's beside you.
Yeah, I would say the only time that we would probably drive it any great distance is going to be to the OPRA conference in Sandusky. So, and then we can all ride together as staff at that point instead of
That would be great.
having, two different vehicles going up there at the same time, so.
I'll make a motion that the necessary legislation be prepared to purchase a van for the Parks and Recreation Department.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Allen?
Yes.
Mrs. Witt?
Yes.
Mayor Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Darty?
Yes.
Ms. Marcus?
Yes. No one appearing before council. Moving to staff and council reports. Start with the fire department.
Nothing to report, ma'am, thank you.
I like the way he moved the mic over before I said anything.
It's a good guess.
Now, police department,
I have nothing, ma'am, thank you.
street department,
Nothing, ma'am, thank you.
building and zoning,
I have nothing, ma'am. Thank you.
city planner,
No report tonight, thank you.
parks and rec,
Just want to say thank you. That's it.
law director,
No report, thank you.
finance director,
Nothing further, thank you.
clerk of council,
I have nothing, thank you.
mayor, city manager,
I have no items, thank you.
Mr. Doherty,
Nothing to report, thank you.
Mr. Miller.
Just one item. I had a couple calls this week inquiring. I thought maybe we talked about this a couple council meetings ago, or maybe just in general. They were asking if the city was going to have any shredder at some city event this year.
Yes.
Didn't we talk about
Yes.
that a
We
while
did
back?
talk.
I've already talked to Amy about that, so we are going to have it. Because I've had people inquire with me too about having it, so I told her that we used to always have it with the fire when they did their
Safety fest.
event.
Fast.
And then somehow it just went by the wayside. So when did we plan on having
Well,
it? I thought-
keep watching the Moraine Messenger, please.
Well,
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
hoping before fall, if not, then we can work in conjunction and have it back at the Fire Safety Fest.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That's all I have.
Mrs. Witt,
Nothing to report, thank you.
Mrs. Allen.
nothing to report, thank you.
I have nothing, so at this time, we will adjourn to executive session with no business to follow at 6:51.